everybody? Welcome to Capital of Combat. The name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch.
Rob Jarrell.
And today we're going to recap this past weekend's heavyweight action that showed on Showtime. And we're going to do a quick little blurb on the David Haye comeback. All 2 minutes and...
2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes of it. It was like 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Something crazy like that.
Inconsequential.
Yes. But we're going to talk about David Haye's comeback against was it Martin-DeMori. We're going to talk about Charles Martin and Wilder-Szpilka, and we're going to talk about Wilder-Szpilka and Deontay Wilder. We're going to go in length of fight. So we're going to start with David Haye. David Haye, first fight in what, 2.5 years, 3 years?
3 years since the Chisora fight.
Yes. Making a triumphant return to the heavyweight ranks, bringing a lot of excitement because he has a name, he's got charisma, he's got the power, which he showed on Saturday afternoon. Take it away, Rob.
You got knocked out, cuz. Sorry, it was 2 minutes of him picking his shots, showing a little bit of speed, and showing why he is the haymaker. Basically, he beat DeMori to the punch. There was a body shot that he landed, a right hand, and that pretty much said, oh, this guy's gonna last too much longer. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened. He hit him with that overhand right. That guy went down and was not getting back up. He weighed in for about 227.5 pounds for this fight. He normally weighed in around 210 to 215 for his fights before the layoff. But he put on that muscle, the time off, age, whatever you want to say. He looked big. He didn't look like he lost any speed, technique, and he looked healthy. He had an issue with his shoulder. He had a fight with Tyson Fury lined up that fell through because of the injury. And it was supposed to be going because at that time I believe he had Deontay Wilder. He had a lot of tall guys in his camp. It was Deontay Wilder and I can't remember who else was in his camp. But Deontay Wilder was one of the more notable names in the camp, which says a lot. So he came out there, he did what he had to do. DeMori, if you watch the preview video, the quick counter that I did, the guy had a glossy record with terrible competition. And he didn't even get Haye any rounds in. So what I would say for this one is that Haye needs to have a quick turnaround for his next fight, something within the next 3 months, because that wasn't enough. It didn't give us a big sample size of how we look. It just gave us the sample size of he still is the haymaker.
Yeah. He wants to fight Anthony Joshua, which would be a pretty big fight. I think that might be just a tad bit too soon for Joshua.
Well, actually, it's a tad bit too soon for both of them.
Yeah.
You know, Joshua can hit hard. He had his fight with Dylan White, which he got touched up a bit. Two young guys going at it, but he was able to prevail and get the knockout. With Haye, he needs more rounds. They say he's been sparring great, but he needs the actual competition. Right. So I like to see just not a small step up, but enough step up where he could be pushed to maybe 5, 6, 7 rounds, because we know how the heavyweight division is.
Yeah, and anybody who has sparred and actually fought know that there's a world of difference between the two. We're just going to leave that at that. Hopefully he gets another fight really soon against someone that, like Rob said, can give him some rounds. We're going to move on to the next fight, which was for the vacant IBF heavyweight title between Charles Martin and Martin-Glazkov. We talked about the politics of this fight being a title fight, and of course no one's happy with that, but it was a big opportunity for both guys, and unfortunately the result of the fight left even more of a bad taste in the mouth, because everyone was already upset that it was a title fight. Neither guy had really earned the right to fight for the title in the first place, and now we get a anticlimactic ending to a fight that looked like it might have been starting to heat up, but we'll never know. With Martin, he came as advertised. He showed a little bit of hand speed. He had a good amount of accuracy, kept his hands dangerously low, but Glazkov, being a notorious slow starter, had not really gotten into the fight either before he injured his knee. You got anything?
This gives us 2 American heavyweight champions?
Yeah, pretty much. Unfortunately, like, you want to give props to Martin for doing what he had to do. He came out there and he was doing his thing and it looked like he was imposing his will on Glazkov before the injury. But we don't know how the fight would have played out later on. That's not his problem. You do want to congratulate him for winning and becoming a champ, but then at the same time, it's like, you know, you're not really a champ because of the politics. And it's just a bad, I feel bad for him, honestly, because, you know, that is one of those things, like, you work so hard to be a champ, and they kind of just, he's not really a champ.
Well, he will have the chance to defend that and prove that he's a champ, because he's going to be targeted big time. At first it was with Deontay Wilder, and then it was Tyson Fury. Now it's Charles Martin. So every guy anyone that's going to be trying to challenge this guy. I think you're going to see possibly the winner of Brazil Mansour, which is happening this weekend. Yeah. Chisora called him out. You'll probably see, maybe not David Haye, but you'll see some names come out of the woodwork, especially a heavyweight trying. Malik Scott. He is going to be a heavily targeted fighter.
And rightfully so. He really hasn't proven that he belongs up there yet. And guys are seeing a new bargaining chip with that IBF title to take into the Fury or Wilder negotiations. Because right now it's really between those 2 guys. And until they fight, well, actually Fury is the guy. But he still has to defend that title against first Klitschko and then everyone else.
That's right.
So, the other guy in the equation, Deontay Wilder. He had the main event fight versus Wilder-Szpilka, and this one started out pretty sloppy. And the reason for that, there was a few reasons. One, you have an orthodox fighter and a southpaw fighter. You have one guy that's not as experienced in Wilder and a guy that has a little bit more experience in Szpilka. But you had a big size advantage for, well, advantage for Wilder, disadvantage for Szpilka. So both guys are trying to get their range, they're trying to get their feet together, and they both wanted to get the other guy out of there. So they were throwing with bad intentions, but because their distance was not set yet, there was a lot of lunging, there was a lot of feet tangling, and it took maybe about 3 to 4 rounds for each guy to really find that specific range that they need to be at to work.
But once they found their range, you saw a very back and forth, nicely contested fight. Once Wilder started to get his balance together, established the range, especially with his jab, and then you had Szpilka changing levels, moving around, stepping inside, landing to the body very well, and then the fight turned into what you wanted to see out of a heavyweight fight. Unfortunately, it was toward the middle rounds where you see that, but then you started to see all the little things that made the fight worth watching. Deontay Wilder, I think he has really good reflexes as far as counterpunching, but he was starting to land that 1-2 to Szpilka, and then Szpilka was he did a lot of stuff very well.
Yeah, I was very impressed with Szpilka's work. One, his footwork was very nice, especially because of his tendency to be more of a counterpuncher. He used a lot of feints, he used a lot of angles. And if you watch our last 2 technical toolbox videos, a lot of the things, and the one we've got coming up this Monday, a lot of the things in those videos you could see Szpilka exhibiting. And also Wilder, because he was making a lot of stance mistakes where he was caught in between having a wide stance and a narrow stance a lot, which is why you saw him losing balance and slipping when Szpilka came in. And also when he was lunging and missing with his right hands because his feet were too wide to get the proper base and distance to land that punch. And as you see the fight, as the fight wore on, his feet got closer and closer to that optimal range that he needed to lower the boom. Lower the boom he did.
Yeah, the 9th round, again, still a really nice round. I think Deontay was starting to come on because he was starting to land those right hands, which Szpilka took well.
Yeah. One of the things, also another small technical thing, the punch placement made a big difference in how Szpilka took those punches. Because earlier on in the fight, Wilder was landing a lot of punches to the, this is the orbital bone if I'm not mistaken, to the cheek. And it's a very strong, dense part of the face. You can knock somebody out right there, but it's a little bit more difficult. And you could see him move Szpilka, and you could feel the power. But once he landed on the chin, it was over. And all he did was drop the position of the punch by maybe like 2 inches. That much of a difference meant a hard punch and a man being taken out on a stretcher.
Yeah, because while these are hard, like you would have to hit someone in a softer area. Orbital bone, cheekbones, very dense, even the top of the skull. Temple or right on the button, right here, where it's hanging, there's no real brace for it. That's why they tell you to close your mouth and breathe through your nose when you're fighting. Just a little tidbit there.
Yes.
Once you get hit here, you can't stop it from going left or right. It doesn't have that kind of brace for it. So once, boom, once he got hit, came up, neck turn, night night.
That mandible hits the skull, sends your brain scrambling, and you have the result that we saw on Saturday night. Afterwards, Wilder showed a lot of class in making sure that Szpilka was okay before he really got celebrating. And also, you know, he made a good point in saying that, you know, a lot of guys out there are harping on both guys and just fighters in general not knowing the danger that they go through being in that ring. Like, you could see the horror on Szpilka's fiance's face as he laid there, and the doctors are checking on him, and we have the my man Pritchard Colon, Magomed Abdulsalamov as high-profile guys that got hurt in the ring, and they seem to be okay, but then later on they fall into a coma. Both guys are still messed up to this day, and that fight with Perez for Magomed was, I want to say, like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So we have to respect these guys who are going in there and putting their health and future on the line for our entertainment. You have to be more respectful than to call these guys bums. Because one, if they were really bums, they would not make it to this level. And two, it's always the question they ask on the streets. Can you whoop my ass? And for those guys, you probably can't.
And why was this an issue? Well, again, he was taken out on the stretcher. Szpilka was taken out on the stretcher. And you saw Tyson Fury jump into the ring after it was all said and done and get in the face of Wilder. Which normally, I would love to see that, just not at that instance.
Yeah, it was in bad taste, but you come to expect that with Tyson Fury. Unfortunately, I do believe he has earned the right to do a little antique stuff now. He is the man. He beat the man. So he can do a little bit. But that one right there was in bad taste. You don't go out and call somebody a bum when they're being taken out on a stretcher. Like, that's not cool.
Now, Tyson Fury came in. He was watching the fight. But who else was also in the audience? Alexander Povetkin. And we know that is Deontay Wilder's mandatory. That's supposed to be happening in June. They said the negotiations are underway. It's going well. And that's going to be his next fight, as well as Tyson Fury's next fight being against Vladimir Klitschko. The rematch set in late spring, early summer. So if they both get past their challenges, you can expect to see them maybe later on in the year, beginning of 2017, and what I would imagine would be a pay-per-view.
Oh yeah, it has to be. Like, that is going to be for all the marbles. Like, Tyson Fury is already recognized as the man, but outside of his native country, he's not really known. Deontay Wilder is starting to become known more in the United States. They're doing a lot of press on him right now as the heavyweight hopeful. So the two of those guys getting together will be a high-profile fight if they can make it past their next two fights, because both guys are in for real fights. Forget what we saw in that first Klitschko fight. I think this second one might be a little bit different. I don't know, but I have a feeling that Klitschko may be a little bit more focused this time. And Povetkin, being an amateur standout, a seasoned pro, and Wilder being neither really, he could be in for a scrap. But you never know until they get in the ring, which is why we're looking forward to those fights happening and seeing how they prepare. Because like we said, Wilder made great adjustments in this fight. He corrected some issues mid-fight, and he got the result that he needed. And really, that's all you can ask for from a fighter. Are they getting better? Are they giving good results? He's doing both. So we just got to wait and see what happens next. What you got?
I've got nothing else. You can find the that David Haye knockout on YouTube. I will share it on the page if you were wondering. I think I might have already shared it on the page.
I think you did.
So check that out. And you can always reach us at CapitalofCombat@gmail.com. CapitalofCombat on Facebook, Google+, and Instagram.
Yes. All three, Capital of Combat. Also, we just released 2 new technical toolbox videos that we mentioned in this video. Watch those. We got another one coming out this following Monday, and we'll be shooting a lot more frequently, so those will be coming a lot more. And we got some other good stuff in store for you as well. If you guys have any questions, hit us up on either of those mediums, and we'll hit you back, put you in the combat mailbag, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
This is round 1 and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is come at a cost. My fists are on fire, I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage, keep thinking that it's a game. I kick rhyme, hurricane, I told them I don't play, I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.